Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk about this 68 Ford LTD 4-door hardtop by itself. You know, we did the video with it and the 2-door. The 2-door did sell. It's gone to North Carolina now. But I want to explain why this car is being parted out. As I've talked about in my other videos, I'm trying to restore the convertible that our parents raised us in. And it's been many years I've been trying to get it done. And now that the house is paid off, I don't have any vehicle payments or anything, kind of feels like I hit the lottery. So I just want to get that car done. That's all I ever wanted as a little kid, was that car. And my dad gave it to me in 1989. So I started buying all these parts cars because, again, like I said in my previous videos, the guy agreed to do the body work. And then he's been through so much hell, divorce and all this stuff, and he hasn't been working on it and just got put on the back burner. And I got all this money wrapped up in these cars that are just sitting here deteriorating. But I bought this car because I needed a floor pan. And everybody's like, oh, that car's too good to part out. Well, it's not. It's a 4-door LTD. Yes, it has a 428 in it, which is pretty cool. But I like to never got it on the trailer. When I was 3 hours away from here. It was 3 hours up, 3 hours back, and the carburetor was so messed up, and they had messed with it for so long trying to get it running, and we like to never got it on the trailer. I couldn't even test drive it around the block because it wouldn't run. And I mean, it would sit there and idle, but as soon as you try to give it any gas, it would just fall in its face. So in my opinion, it's got quite a bit of blow by. I believe the rings are washed out of it. It's definitely a 68 428. It's still worth quite a bit of money. It runs pretty good with the carburetor that I put on it. Not great, but it does have some cool stuff that we'll talk about. But I want to point out all the stuff that's bad. First off, I hope you guys could see, and I even saw this in the Facebook Marketplace ad. These two doors on the left side are totally different color than the rest of the car. They're a lot lighter. I don't know what happened or whatever. This 428 emblem was gone off this left front fender when I got it. I just happened to have a spare, but the holes were filled with Bondo. So there's Bondo all in that lower left front fender. So clearly this side has been wrecked. There's rust here in the dog leg. It's rusting out. There's rust here in the quarter. You can see daylight from inside the trunk. This quarter panel is dented up here and more rust there. The bumper is pushed in and it's pulled out from the bottom where somebody's been tugging on the car. You know, paint, just a gallon of paint costs a fortune if you're going to paint something right. I mean, this car, yeah, it's cool. It's a 428 car. It's LTD. It's a hardtop, whatever. Find one that's done. They're still out there, or an original. You can still get on Marketplace. I could show you several right now that are nice original drivers that don't need all this. This quarter panel is dented here. It's dented there. It's got rust all the way along there. That trim is not held on there very good. These two doors, I don't know what's going on here, but if you look right in the middle, there's a huge gap, and Ford did not do that. Ford's gaps were always really close. If there's a huge gap in the middle, yet it's almost touching the front fender, and it's almost touching the rear quarter right here. But if you open this, it doesn't look like the door hinges have been moved or anything, so I'm not sure what the story is there, but I do know it's got a scrape and a crease all the way down the driver's door and into the back door. It's scraped and creased all the way down, so who knows, maybe it did just, I don't know. I would have thought that you'd see a lot more of a dent if it was enough to make that door spread out like that, but either way it is. This fender has a crease right here, pretty good crease, and the hood has got a pretty good crease, dent right here in the hood. So, just the cost of paint, and nowadays clear coat alone, not counting all the rust repair and dent repair, and then finding the other things that you'd want to restore it, The hideaway headlights and the front bumper are beautiful. Great for a parts car. Worth a good chunk of change. I just found out a couple weeks ago when I advertised those parts for sale what these front marker light lenses bring. People are wanting them like crazy. But the dash pad that I just sold, you know, I sold one that wasn't by any means perfect. And look at this thing. And I got $500 out of that dash. Just dashes wants anywhere from $1,800 to $2,200 to restore one. And then they say that the speaker grill is not correct. They won't do it the correct way. So, like I said in the previous video, yeah, it's got cruise control. And I do have a couple of these. But if you're lucky to find one, I didn't pay that much. But now you're going to pay anywhere between $500 and $750 for one of these if you find it. What else about the inside? I guess that's about it. Well, armrest. Somebody's constantly looking for armrest. And this one's all cracked up. So I needed the floor pans. And I know I can get my money back out of it. Well, I just needed this floor pan, but it's a done deal now. See, that's another thing. They had tried putting it on a trailer before, and they almost ripped the muffler off. So it's really loud. So it needs an exhaust system. When I did get it home and put a different carburetor on it, I took off down the road there, and it immediately blew out the freeze plug on the right rear above the starter. I've got new freeze plugs, but they've not been put back in it yet, so it needs all new freeze plugs. Just look under this hood. I didn't realize it till I got it home. See, here's the cruise control servo. Both of the cables. This would have had a cable coming up from the C6 transmission to this, and they would have another one going from it through the firewall to the speedometer head. So your speed runs through this. Well, both those cables are gone, and it just has a regular old non-cruise control one coming from the transmission going to the speedometer. Where would you find those? You'd probably have to have them custom made. There's more money if you wanted to make the cruise work. It's set here for a year or so now, so it's got a locked up brake caliper. So let's see, before we get into this stuff here, show you the trunk. Look how rusted out the trunk lid is. If you hit that hard enough, you're just going to poke your fingers through it. There's nothing left at the bottom of this trunk. That's a really common place for these to rust. And you cannot find them. They don't exist. I've recently, when I was looking for parts for the convertible, I don't need one, but I just asked, you know, to have a spare. And no one has a trunk lid for this car. And you're probably going to pay $350 for it if you can get one that cheap. And then it has to come freight. Freight's not cheap. You're probably looking at another $300 for shipping. So you can't really see it in here, but you can see all the way through there. You can see daylight, and you can see the chrome strip down there at the bottom. The quarters are just 8 out all the way across the back. So, of course, here's the seats that we took out. One thing I found funny, you know, this has the fold down armrest with the brome interior. And I noticed this tag on here says C8MB, which is Mercury. So they must have been using like the Park Lane seat frame to do this, because that's a Mercury part number, which isn't really surprising. I just didn't realize it till I saw that. So there, again, you know, you need a trunk lid. You can't put that kind of money in a four-door car like this. I mean, for some reason, the 68XL convertibles and fastbacks, it's hard to get any money out of them. So you can't put into this car what it would take to make it nice and get your money back out of it. But I did have a pleasant surprise with this car. I've only seen one other of these on a Mercury. When I got it, and Dad was with me, and I was like, what the hell's that? We didn't know. We had never seen it. And it was wired just like this. I'm like, well, it's clearly it's Ford and it's got something to do with the starter. And the car started, so I wasn't that worried about it. So I got a hold of my friend Gry and Lars out in Norway that know a lot about the 68 Mercuries and stuff, and she looked in her books and she figured out this is called a starter delay relay that went on all of the Cobra Jet cars, like the Torinos and stuff like that that had the Cobra Jet in it. And when you turn the car over, it goes through this. So technically, here's how it's supposed to be hooked up. The main starter wire coming from the ignition goes to it, and then the one coming out of it goes to the solenoid. That way your current, when you start it, flows through that thing and goes back to the solenoid. And I'll show you how it works. And this thing does work, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I've showed this on Facebook, and I don't know how many people messaged me wanting it. And I had a guy telling me that if you've got one of these that works, they're selling for $2,500. There's somebody out there that rebuilds them, but I guess he's out of them. And this thing does work. So apparently this piece right here, somebody might pay $2,500 for. See, there's another thing. The A-arm bushings are completely gone out of this car. Both sides. It drives good and everything, but when you turn, back up and go forward, they pop and make one heck of a racket. So it's a parts car. I've already cut the floor pans out of it. When I'm done with it and I'm not having to move it around anymore, it will be the rest of the way parted out. But I don't want to get rid of much of anything off of these cars and the yellow one that you see back in the shed from my other videos until it's time to put mine back together. And yes, that stupid Beetle's still sitting here and I have not been paid for it. That was in a previous video. So anyway, I'm going to start it up. Well, I had it running, so I want to pull this. I'm going to pull this hose off if I can. I'm going to pull the coil wire off because I don't want it to start. I want to show you what that thing does. Okay, see? Starts. See? Now it won't. Give it a few seconds. Now it will again. Starter delay relay. Now it won't. Not till a few seconds. See? So that thing works exactly like it's supposed to. So my plan is, after this video, is to take it off of the car and hook it back up as if it doesn't have one. And I'm going to take this in and put it in the safe until I decide I want to sell it. Because you guys seen it with your own eyes, it works exactly like it's supposed to. So now, let's see if the car will start up. I had it running. It's extremely hard to start when it's cold. And it runs rough because even this carburetor is not great, but it's all I had. And I'm not buying a new one. Okay. So there's that muffler that's blowed out. See here, that smoke, I don't know if you can see it. To me, that's quite a bit of blow-by. But, again, it is a 1968 428. I mean, I know it's worth a little chunk of change. It starts up, it runs, it drives. If it had a good carburetor on it, it may not even smoke that bad. If the oil was changed and stuff, I don't know. Hopefully I'll get time this summer. So it does run and drive. We got reverse. We got forward. So see, now starts normal because I went around that thing. So, and actually, you know, that's the way it was. I guess whoever had it just eliminated it because that was a pain when you were trying to get it running. So I just wanted to explain to you guys, you know, every time someone says to me, oh, that thing's too good to part out, what are you doing? Well, the fact is, some cars do have to be sacrificed to make other ones like convertibles and fastbacks run again. You just have to. When I bought this old convertible, I wish I would have taken this tarp off before I started this video. Let me see if I can. This is just a bench seat car. Let's see. It does have disc brakes. That's basically, well, disc brakes in a 390 and a C6. That's as far as your options go. But see, the top is completely shredded. I only bought this because, just like that other convertible, all of this stuff is intact when it comes time to put mine back together. It's got every screw, every clip, everything. So when it comes time to put it back together, you know, it's going to make it so much easier for me. You know, this stuff's all falling down. And this car came from up by Chicago as well. And this quarter panel, both quarter panels, everything, the frame looks like Swiss cheese. It's solid Bondo. Basically this whole car is solid Bondo. And it's so separated. There's no engine or transmission in it. But it's so separated that you can barely get this to latch. The top is so far back away from the windshield because the body has separated so much from the door. So, see if I can close it. Look at that gap. See, so much of that body where the top mechanism is bolted to has separated that much. Is how much sag this car's got. And when people see pictures of it, they say, oh man, that's a 68XL. You can't part that out. That thing's worth fixing. It needs restored. Well, they don't have a clue what this stuff costs. My God, bumpers are going on eBay, core bumpers for $650, $700 just for a core that needs to be re-chromed. And see, this is another thing that makes me mad. You know, that guy was doing so good. I bought these cars. Now look at this. These two, that car does have a motor and transmission in it, but it's so hard to get started. This one does not. This was driveway like 4 years ago when I bought all this stuff. Now you can see paths where me and my customers walk through here. It's turned into yard because these cars have just sat here this long, sitting out here deteriorating. They're not going to be, none of this stuff's going to be worth anything if I don't get on that car. But it looks like this summer I'm going to get on it. A cool thing about this car, it was on Marketplace as well, and it was really local. So I'm looking at it. You know, they had a picture looking in this car like that, and I see a window crank, and like, okay, it's got manual windows, it's got disc brakes, it's got air conditioning. This car was originally metal arc yellow, just like the convertible I'm trying to restore, color code Y, but they painted it this horrible blue. But anyway, I get out there to look at it, and I see this wiring harness in the door. I'm like, this car is a power window car, but they couldn't fix it, so they put manual ones in it and opened the trunk, and the window regulators, motors, switches, and door panels were all in the trunk. So I do have a complete power window system for a four-door car or a wagon. You know, four-door hardtop, four-door sedan, station wagon. I'm pretty sure, I know the front doors are the same. I'd have to check, but I'm positive too that the rear doors are the same. So I do have a complete power window system that somebody could use for a four-door car. I thought about doing a video just a little one to show you kind of how you can switch it out in those doors and make it work. It's really not that big a deal to add power windows. Sorry, it's kind of windy out here. I did sell this Hideaway headlight system to my buddy Todd out in Cincinnati. He come out and got it. See here, all that was wrong with this car, I think, this is your window relay, and it just burnt up. The wires melted. That's all was probably wrong with it to start with, and I could have probably fixed the windows without having to take them out and put manual ones in it. This is a 394 barrel. See if I can show you something over here real quick again to wrap this up. See right here, every one of these Mercurys and Fords has these two little dimples right there that shows you where to drill your little self-tapping screws to put the power window relay. Every dimple and hole's there for every option of these cars as they were going down the assembly line. So you're not altering anything when you add options. It's not that big a deal. It's really quite simple. The windshield does have a couple pretty good sized rock chips in it. One here, one there, so it needs a windshield. You know, there's just all these things that when you see a car in pictures and you think it's good, you just don't know without looking up close. This car is not worth restoring, and it's not going to get restored. I'm going to use it just like those two and the yellow one as parts cars and models to get the car that means the most to me put back together. And then yes, there will be some parts available, and hopefully by the end of this summer we're making progress. That's my plan. So, and we still have to talk about this white Lincoln. I got new tires put on the truck today. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you don't think I'm an asshole for doing what I'm doing or being a smart ass. I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel as somebody that's been buying 68 Ford parts for years, and I know what the stuff cost. I mean, there's an LTD emblem on eBay right now, and you'd have to look it up. I think they're asking $350 for it. And honestly, I paid $1,100 for the last new old stock XL emblem that I bought. So if you want to fix up a 68 Ford, that's what it cost. And that's my point. This car's not worth spending that kind of money on. And I need it as a parts car and a model. So I've already got the floor pan. So please don't judge me. I'd really appreciate it. I'd also really appreciate it if you would give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. That helps me out, and you could tell me what you think. I don't care. I won't argue. You know, you just give me your opinion. I don't care. The conversation helps my YouTube channel serve up the algorithm or whatever they call it. I mean, it really helps when people do get on there and actually talk about it. So let me know what you think. Give me your honest opinion. Do you think that this car is worth what it would take to fix it with the price of paint and parts nowadays? Let me know. I'd appreciate it. Again, please give me that thumbs up. Please leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for more 68 Ford talk and some other stuff. I think I have some pretty good ideas coming up this summer. Show you a really cool junkyard that I go to. I got a buddy that's got a 58 Impala with 36,000 original miles that was sold new right in town. Has the factory air ride suspension. He told me that I can come and talk to him about that and some of his other cars. So please stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell. Thank you very much for watching.